Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy, and like usual, we're going to have two rows. Top row is going to be what could be going on for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy. They have hope and faith and belief in their dreams, and they're listening to their intuition to guide them instead of their fear or their insecurity or their more immature, indulgent nature. And the bottom row is going to be a more worldly, shadowy nature, and that could be how we are tempted to live life the way we've been living it. But so some people could be struggling within themselves, but there's always going to be some people that have grown, healed, matured, expanded their perception of themselves and the world around them, have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves than they did before, and they're moving forward in life differently. And at any given moment, there's going to be some people who aren't in that type of energy, and they're going to keep living life maybe the way they've been living it. And sometimes those are people we know that won't be moving forward with us. Sometimes those are people that we just read about in the newspaper. So listen to your intuition about where you're at in the story. We all tap into Pisces energy. If you harness high vibe Pisces energy and you have hope and faith and belief in your dreams and you're not caught up in illusion, you'd probably like to be in relationships with some other people who are on the same page as you. But sometimes we're in relationships with people and we see the truth that we're not on the same page. So the reason for we're also using this deck that was created by a gentleman who wrote a book, and I believe the name of the book is Happiness is an Imaginary Thin Line in the Sand. So the reason for the reading for the high vibe people is rolling in the dough, which of course dough makes us could think of money, but in tarot it could mean resources and abundance. And this picture has a lot of water in it, and Pisces is an emotional water sign. And you could be building a lot of abundance in your life just because you really are connected in with your emotions and your intuition, and the people that you're investing your time, energy, and effort into are also people who are abundant emotionally. It's also the reason why the reading came out, and you could have been in some relationships with some people that are really caught up in the illusion of the world in their Pisces nature. And it's kind of like they've drowned in it. They're so consumed with money and materialism or status or image or indulging themselves that, they can't keep their head above water. And it consumes them, and you realize, I'm not going down with you. And the reason for the bottom shadowy, more worldly rose reading is we're all outsiders. And this, of course, has a snowy depiction and landscape, and it's also kind of like in the forest, which again can kind of be getting caught up in the world and not being able to separate the trees from the forest, and people lack discernment, and they'll kind of follow different people, maybe because emotionally they could be kind of barren or shallow or superficial. And some people haven't learned to love and believe in themselves, being abundant within themselves. And so they're always just kind of looking for someone to kind of be in a relationship with because they haven't learned to love and believe in themselves, and they kind of maybe haven't looked at life from a higher perspective, and basically they've got a lot of life lessons to learn. So let's go look at the top row and what could be going on for people who harness high vibe Pisces energy. Okay, we have the Thrive card, so things growing and blooming on a tree, and the tree can talk about our foundation of like self and the people we choose to be in relationship with. And then we have the unknowable world, and again, this is a picture of water, and water in tarot can talk about our consciousness, and we can expand our consciousness of how we perceive ourselves in the world around us. Because so much of our life is just dependent on what we believe is possible. And if we have self-limited thinking, oh, I couldn't do that. No, things like that don't work out for me, and blah, 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 you know. And also, this picture has water and sand representing kind of being grounded. If it wasn't another person you were dealing with, people who were kind of caught up in their emotions and emotionally confused, some of those people could have done this work within themselves to kind of get more grounded because, of course, a tree is like a land plant. So it's kind of doing this work on your own foundation to kind of love and believe in yourself. And then maybe getting more balance between your emotional nature and kind of being more grounded within yourself. And then we have this card which says more than this. And this is kind of interesting because this shows like a kayak type boat, and so it could be people learning to master their emotional realm because, we're emotionally complex human beings and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. And our shadow nature is kind of, high vibe energy is represented by God and shadowy energy kind of represented by the devil. When we haven't seen the truth that it's about love and we haven't learned to master our thoughts and our emotions and things like that, we can the devil talks about things that imprison and enslave us. And if it wasn't other people doing that, you yourself or some of you could have been kind of in that being consumed with the world or letting your emotions consume you and kind of overwhelming you. And so going through this process to get more balance within yourself and being a master of your thoughts and your emotions, no longer letting them overwhelm and rule and dominate you, but you realizing that, I can be the master of my emotions and I can maybe get to where I'm not overwhelmed by them, but I'm able to work with them to kind of get to where I want to go. Because, of course, if you're in a boat, you're trying to move forward in a way where maybe finding new tools and maybe again being more grounded that there are things in the world and people I can work with and other resources I have. Because with Pisces, let's see, what is the opposite sign of Pisces? Because when I did the Cancer and Capricorn reading, it kind of seemed to talk a lot about signs that were on the opposite sign of the zodiac wheel from us. And the opposite zodiac sign from Pisces is Virgo, which is earth sign energy. And it would be trying to find a balance because if we're naturally more predisposed to be in, say, our Pisces energy, it can feel like kind of unfamiliar territory to kind of maybe being more caught up in our feelings and our emotions and not being more practical and grounded and paying attention to the details. And we all have lessons learned. And sometimes the lesson we have to learn is that we kind of went way out, which we do, to learn all these lessons in life. And we kind of go off the deep end and we kind of drive our life off into the ditch. And it's just kind of to show us that if we don't, part of growing up and learning lessons in life is to get more balanced within ourselves. We do go out to the edge and kind of drive our life off into the ditch in these different ways. And it's to try to teach us that learn those lessons so that we can learn to be more balanced and centered within ourselves. And love is what helps unify us because otherwise we can be in scattered energy. And so maybe this is like people in their Pisces energy getting more balanced with their own Virgo nature. And Virgo is about going within to gain insight and wisdom about things we maybe didn't even realize we needed to look at and things we'd maybe rather not look at. But our Virgo nature helps us to see the truth. And there's more than just our emotions. Again, we're emotionally complex people. It can seem like all there is our emotions. But if we let our emotions overwhelm us or override us and we're not maintaining balance within ourselves, again, kind of drives our life off into the ditch. So we kind of learn these lessons, and that can be why some people are able to move forward in life and some other people aren't, because some people could just be choosing, I found those emotions confusing too, and I couldn't find balance, so I just decided to kind of ignore them. And so it's kind of a more emotionally distant and cold way of dealing with their emotions that could make them feel like they can navigate it easier. And everybody is where they're at, learning these lessons in life. But some people prefer to live their life like that. So we also have this card here not showing itself. Love. So, we could realize that if we want to have a more balanced relationship, we can love people and choose not to be in a relationship with them. Especially if they're kind of maybe more emotionally cold and detached. They might like to kind of live in the illusion of let's just kind of go get lost in the forest in a way, and let's not try to use discernment. And some people feel left out in the cold and they want to come immerse themselves emotionally in a relationship with you, but then they kind of come indulge in it and then they leave, and it's like, wait a minute. But some people are like that, kind of like hot and cold. And so it's like, oh, well, now I feel cold, so now I want to come be back in a relationship with you. And oh, now, no, this is getting too much and too overwhelming for me. Now I'm going to leave again. And then they go back to withdrawing or being cold again. So I think if some Pisces were feeling overwhelmed, I don't know, well, maybe I have to get a clarifier on that. But and another thing, Pisces, it's kind of represented by the moon card in tarot, which can talk about people are hiding things underneath the surface. They might come across like this, but really they're like this. And they were hiding that this is what's really underneath the surface. But, maybe it could be like a love bomber, and we have lessons to learn in life. And sometimes people can create an illusion about who they are and hide the truth of who they are. And we can get in a relationship with them that initially can seem very stable and grounded and abundant. And for a while, it can kind of seem balanced. But as time goes by, that's when we can learn kind of what's kind of hidden beneath the surface. And what could be hidden beneath their surface also is that they keep a lot of emotion kind of buried that they don't tap into. And then it's hard to be in a relationship with them because, people who aren't as high vibe Pisces energy would be people who have learned to fill their own cup emotionally and have learned to maintain balance within themselves and in their relationships. And they want to be in relationships with other people who've learned how to fill their own cup. And sometimes these people who could go between no, reject, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I need to fill my cup emotionally. Let me go get in a relationship with someone who I think maybe feels more balanced. That helps me then feel more balanced. But then they're not really willing to bring the dream into reality. And they want to go, I don't know, they revert to their more normal nature. Let's go look at what's going on in some people who harness a more worldly or shadowy Pisces energy. Happiness is an imaginary line in the sand. Be free. Howl, which would be howl like at the moon. and where to start. Okay. So I've kind of been interpreting this card. Now, this is a barren desert kind of landscape, which would be very hot. So that kind of reminds me of us, kind of where we can get in our ego. And we can be a little bit emotionally cold, but we really like to be kind of maybe in the spotlight. We're just not very warm and nurturing and loving, some people. And then sometimes for those type of people who really do like to keep their emotions buried beneath the surface, when they get in relationships with people who are very maybe loving and nurturing, it can feel like a flood of emotions to deal with. And initially they kind of might like that because they had been feeling kind of neglected or out in the cold or something emotionally. And so then it kind of feels good to indulge themselves in it, but it could be more out of ego or because I felt cold or whatever. This is why I was looking for it. But then they have that thing where they, instead of maybe working through the things that they keep buried beneath the surface, they just decide they want to leave. And then they create some illusion about why it didn't work out and take off the way they initially had made it seem like it was going to take off. And they just don't deal with those things that they keep hidden beneath the surface. They still might long for being in relationships with people who they view as being on the same page as them, or maybe having some of the things that they want. Because if you are harnessing high vibe Pisces and Virgo, maybe as an indicator of you being more centered within yourself and balanced within yourself, and in Virgo energy, you could be someone who has hope and faith and belief in your dreams, and you put work and effort into bringing those dreams into reality. And there's people in the world who they want to look like they have those things too, but they haven't done this work within themselves to free themselves from their the moon can represent your fears and your insecurities, because you'd have to go into unknown territory, and we have the sun. We can see things clearly, and so that can represent where we like to stay in our comfort zone. I know how to navigate here. I've been here before. I know how to live life like this and with people like this. And if I move forward with people who are more willing to heal, grow, mature, because in their Virgo energy, they're willing to deal with their own issues they keep hidden in the dark or keep buried beneath the surface, and they listen to their intuition to guide them. For some people, that's unknown territory, and we all have to make that free will choice to be willing and be motivated and inspired to free ourselves from the things that manipulate us, our fears, our insecurity, our defensive nature, our prideful nature, all the things in the world that we think would make us happy to have or indulge in other than love, because then we don't have to do the work to free ourselves. And that's what some people could think, that it's the answer they could think to their kind of extremes, not really being balanced. So now this is starting to make me think of a Two of Pentacles card where people kind of juggle back and forth. I like people to view me this way because I want to be in a relationship with people. I'm more just and fair and balanced and nurturing and loving than I am, or I'm more balanced than I am. But they really could oscillate between kind of being hot and cold, wanting to be in loving, nurturing relationships, and then it's overwhelming and they want to shut it off. And they could think that the answer to their problem of why they're kind of hot and cold isn't to self-reflect, because I'm now kind of viewing the Thrive card as like a Virgo Hermit card again. And they're not seeing the truth, because the truth sets us free to live our life differently, but it does take work and effort. And some people aren't motivated to do that inner work that would get them more balanced between their worldly nature and the things of the world that they want with their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature. And other people have. It's like, I want these things in my life, and there's these things I want, like I maybe want to be in a stable, secure job. I'd like to be in stable relationships. I'd like to be in a relationship or something like that, and good friends and stuff like that. But am I willing to, it doesn't have to be just and fair and I'll still stay there. People don't have to act with character and integrity and I'll still stay there. I don't act with character and integrity. I just want what I want. Well, high vibe people are more balanced. It's like, I do want those things, but I'm going to go about it so I'm at peace within myself. I feel balanced within myself. I'm going to act with character and integrity and love and treat people the way I like to be treated. That makes me feel proud of myself, makes me be at peace within myself, and it helps contribute to more balanced relationships. And I have done the work to get out of it, maybe this illusion that I don't have to be loving or give of myself, or that it can just be all about me. You know, we all have lessons to learn in life, and some people have learned more of those lessons about how to play nicely with others than other people have. And there could be some people in the world right now that, they're really sure that operating more from a more emotionally defensive nature, operating more from their ego of defensiveness, that's the answer. I won't get hurt. I'll be free from getting hurt. But that's an illusion, because really they're hurting themselves every day, because they are being like emotionally cold and defensive to listening to their intuition. And their intuition is like a gift given to us to help us navigate this world. And part of the process, just like going from elementary to junior high to high school, is you have to learn lessons in life. And some people are like, no. I don't have to learn lessons. I don't have to deal with that shit I'm afraid of, or that I like to keep buried underneath the surface. I think I can just keep moving forward in this illusion. Well, they can. It's just not going to be very nurturing and abundant. It's going to be maybe a little cold. And if that's how they want to live their life, they can live their life that way. But because they could go, it's like, I want these things of the world. I want the things in my ego, the things that I want what other people have. But they're not aligned with loving energy. They haven't aligned with that. So sometimes maybe some people like that, by the time it kind of gets really overwhelming, then they really want those things of the world. But then they kind of get in them, but they didn't really do the work within themselves to work through their own fears and insecurities. And then it can seem overwhelming again. And then they want to leave again. And then they could leave those relationships. And then they just try to confuse people about the truth about why it didn't work out. And yeah, they could just be these people who really kind of go back and forth within themselves. And if we realize we're dealing with people who seem to go back and forth, which you could kind of look at that, it's like, if we build our life from a foundation of love, that's a stable foundation. And if we're not building our life on love, and we don't want to do love because we're afraid of being hurt, or it seems overwhelming, well, a lot of those people aren't going to tell people the truth of that. They're going to try to confuse people about the truth of who they are and how they feel in order to get people to get in a relationship with them, because they want to maybe look like they have what other people have in the world. And if you were in a relationship with some people who wanted you to kind of keep moving forward in an illusion where, how can the dream come into reality with someone who hasn't learned the basics of, you can't, this to me kind of looks like more of a hilltop area because the water looks like it's down below. You have to kind of get out of your head. And I kind of view the emotionally cold, that can be us living more from our mind than our heart, and air sign energy in our Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini nature. And, you have to get down to the basics. You can't keep staying emotionally detached from connecting in with yourself emotionally. And you need to get comfortable kind of between going back and forth between, just getting comfortable with these two aspects of ourself. We do have our worldly nature, which can be our fears and our insecurities of being hurt. And we want what we want when we want it. We maybe don't want to have to work cooperatively with people to get what we want. Well, if you want to move forward in life, the truth sets you free. And part of that is realizing, how to deal with the fact that we're this emotionally and complex thing. We're not just a machine. We're not just an animal. We're not supposed to try to control and manipulate people for our own selfish, greedy reasons. It's about learning how to work in the emotionally intuitive realm without it overwhelming us. And it could be that just some people have more lessons to learn about that than some other people. Let's just get a little tarot story for the top row. Tell us kind of a little tarot story to help us with that. Some people can kind of, sometimes things didn't work out the way we wanted them to. And instead of doing the inner work to love ourselves and believe in ourselves and heal and learn the lessons from that life experience, where we could have moved forward, sometimes we repeat an old pattern and we're kind of operating a little bit out of ego and shadowy energy, us being in our more codependent energy. And we just haven't seen the truth that, I didn't even know I was really supposed to heal and grow and mature myself to a degree. I thought, I'm kind of caught up in this thing of the world. And don't I look to other people to be kind of the answer to my problem? But that can be us in our more codependent energy. And so sometimes when we haven't learned that lesson yet, and we could be a little more aligned with our worldly egoic nature, and we want what we want to feel better, and we maybe haven't learned those lessons to maybe listen to our intuition to guide us. And, pride comes before the fall. We as human beings, we think we're so smart. So in our ego, it's like, oh, that didn't work out. I thought it was going to move forward like this, and it didn't. Well, if we don't do that work within ourselves to learn the lesson we were meant to learn from it, like, oh, why didn't that work out? What did I contribute to the relationship? What kind of people was I getting in relationship with? Maybe I should learn why it's not good for me to get in a relationship with people who have those certain traits and characteristics. And if I was the one who kind of sabotaged the relationship, why did I sabotage it? What traits and characteristics about myself do I need to heal and grow and things like that? But if we don't, then we haven't seen the truth. We kind of got to repeat a pattern again. So we can kind of be in our ego, and we think the answer to freeing ourselves is to kind of indulge in these things in the world because we could feel emotionally kind of out in the cold. So then, we can go get in relationships with other people, and we think we can look outside ourselves for the answer. Aren't you the answer? Aren't you going to tell me where to start and get the ball rolling? And then we can keep doing that, and it kind of keeps not turning out the way we thought. And then, eventually it's kind of like the light bulb goes off that I have to quit looking outside of myself for the answer, and we can look outside of ourselves at a lot of different things to be the answer to our problem. I can look to booze and drugs and sex and gambling and other relationships. But it's kind of us not being illuminated to the truth. And it could be in our own Pisces nature that we don't realize that because there is things buried beneath the surface in our own kind of subconscious, that we might repeat these patterns until we kind of realize that if we don't start to love and appreciate ourselves, there's other people in the world that are happy, that we're confused, and we haven't seen the truth of that. Oh, you haven't learned to love and believe in yourself? Perfect, me neither. Let's get in a relationship. Let's you and me go. Let's both move forward not knowing how to love and believe in ourselves. Let's both not heal. Let's both not grow. And then, we come into contact with all these different people to help us get clear about what our truth is. And we can do that for quite a while. And then it's like, I don't really like this. And so then we can start to do this work within ourselves to love and believe in ourselves, and kind of work through drawing up some of the emotions that have been kind of surrounding us, so that we can get more balanced within ourselves and we feel less encumbered by some things that we've been lugging around, some of our fears, our insecurities, our self-limiting beliefs, things from our past. And that's when we start to listen to our intuition, and that's when it kind of helps us get where we're able to manage our thoughts and our emotions better in a more skillful, mature way. Oh, no, that doesn't go here. That goes here. And that's when we're ready to go. So we've kind of healed an aspect of our own shadow nature. We started to do the work because we were tired of feeling left out in the cold or being harsh and critical in our own inner voice. And then we might have gotten in relationships with people who joined in, to be harsh and critical to us, or unloving or unjust and unfair. Because that's kind of, in a way, what we're aligned with within ourselves. And when we're kind of like, why doesn't this keep working out the way we thought? And then we could get in a relationship where it seems like, we're moving forward, but it's not quite what I had in mind. But it could provide us a sense of, because we all kind of get in relationships with people who might be on the same page as us at any given moment in time. Oh, do you have some fears and insecurities that are kind of similar to mine? Do you have some self-limiting beliefs that are kind of similar? I mean, I think everybody does, but some people's are bigger and smaller than other people's. And we kind of like to get in relationships with people who are on the same page as us. And if together we both do this work within ourselves, then we end up moving forward in a very abundant relationship, because we were both willing to not kind of the love of self kind of get, well, I didn't want you to heal or grow or love and believe in yourself so much. Now in my ego, because you seem like you're more healed and growing and maturing and more bold and brave and confident than me. And so then I'm kind of going to be in my ego, and then I might do this stuff and think I don't want to be your friend anymore. And, that maybe I should create this illusion and get out of the relationship with you. People can get kind of in their competitive energy, their self belittling type energy. But if everybody's willing to work cooperatively together, then we can all move forward together. But sometimes that doesn't work out because the other people, either we didn't realize they kind of like to, in shadowy energy, kind of have the scales of justice kind of more tipped in their favor, and they like to be a little bit more indulged in the relationship, or a lot more indulged in the relationship, or in their ego. You know, if I'm fearful and insecure, your attention should be on the fact that I'm fearful and insecure. If I'm stubborn or prideful or egotistical or bossy or controlling, you should indulge me in that. And sometimes, again, we didn't even know that that's what was hiding beneath the surface. And that's part of what we can learn about people. And again, for a long time, a friendship or relationship can work. It can seem, and for a while, we could all be doing some of that work. But when it really gets to be, if any of you have ever tried to lift yourself out of water to get yourself on something else, it can seem really difficult, and you can tip over a lot of times, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't have the arm muscles. Or I know we used to have a paddle board that you pull behind a boat. But the whole thing is, once you finally get up, it's kind of like this muscle memory thing, and you learn how to do it, and you can get yourself up there really quick. But it does take willing to fail a couple times, or a lot of times, and sometimes other people give up because it seems like it's too hard to get myself above my head above water. And then it could be, I don't even care if I get up there. I'm good doing my life like this, and I'll go find someone else who's still on the same page as me. And, hopefully you wish people peace, but some people do. It's like, I don't wish you a will. I'm just not there yet. I'm not ready yet. I hope it all goes great for you, but I'm not ready to do that yet. And then there's sometimes some people that we're hiding that maybe they never planned to put in the work and effort to overcome whatever it is, their fears or their insecurities. And it really was kind of hoping you just keep indulging them in their ego, do life the way they wanted, live in the illusion that one day the dream will come into reality. It just never does. And that's when it's kind of like, when are we going? When are we going to bring the dream into reality? This is starting to cause me mental conflict. It seems like I'm starting to get the feeling like you're manipulating me, that you're not being truthful with me. Like, are we going to bring this dream into reality, or are we not? And that's when, sometimes some shadowy people, it was like they don't want to admit that they were just kind of indulging in it, as long as you were willing to indulge in it, and didn't want to see the truth, or the truth of who they are. But then when you really want to bring the dream into reality, then they could create some illusion about why it didn't work out. Or worse yet, because they know they don't want to do that, they could do some things to maybe being hot and cold, being bossy or controlling or prideful, or something that you find emotionally confusing, and you're wondering, why are they doing that? And they kind of keep doing it, and eventually it's just like, yeah, I'm not putting up with this shit, and you leave. And then they're like, oh, thank God. Yeah, but they didn't want people to know that the reason they didn't want to keep moving forward was because, it's maybe for some, they knew the whole time they weren't willing to bring that dream into reality, just because that's not how they want to live their life. For others, they kind of realize that, shit, there'd be a lot of things that I would need to put some work and effort into, getting more balanced about, working through my fears, my insecurities, maybe my pride, my ego, my defensiveness, whatever it is. Quit being defensive, to going in the deep end emotionally in a relationship. But they don't want people to know that, because they're kind of prideful and egotistical. So it's kind of like, I'm going to get them to maybe leave. So then it's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. They just left. And really, it was because they were being cold and manipulative and bossy and controlling and being kind of deceptive, that's why you left. But they're trying to confuse people about the truth because, you know, they don't want people to know the truth about that they weren't willing to basically put in the work and effort to be more just and fair and balanced in a relationship, or they just weren't willing to see the truth. And for some reason, they could have this illusion about what it means to be in relationships, and they could think it's all about them being indulged in their ego, where they don't have to put in this work and effort. That's like your job. They're supposed to be free to be themselves, secretive, about themselves, and you're the one who's supposed to, anybody can have any illusion they want about a relationship. And it can be, my idea of the perfect relationship was that I might have these things in the world, because I'm kind of looking at this card as like the Leo Sun energy. It can be someone who has a lot of status and image or money or power or influence or attractive or whatever they think they got, that they didn't think they were supposed to have to put in that work and effort. That, like, people who want to be in a relationship with them because of those things that they have, maybe because other people feel out in the cold, like they don't have those things, and then they have those things and they're kind of shining bright in the world, that, well, if you feel left out in the cold and you want to be in a relationship with someone who might have some of these things of the world that I have, and you can be a very loving, nurturing person, well, yeah, you can come with me or we can get in a relationship, but you're supposed to put in the work and effort to maintain balance in the relationship. I'm just supposed to be able to indulge in it. And eventually you see, like, we had different ideas of how we wanted to move forward. You wanted to move forward with an illusion, and I wanted to move forward more like in truth and love. Anyway, where are we at? 41. I think we've covered it. Let's just go to the end here. What is coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy that they might not see coming up? We have 2 cards not showing itself, and the reason they came out is because of the 4 of Wands. The 4 of Wands talks about coming together in joy and celebration, and this is a process. So if it's just you realizing your own shadow nature doesn't have your best intentions, that if you keep letting your shadow nature, your fear, your insecurity, your pride, your ego, your defensive nature run your life, it's going to keep you feeling left out in the cold and wondering when your life is going to begin. And it's like, I kind of need to get in the driver's seat of my life and get more balance within myself. And I kind of look at the 4 of Wands as firing on all 4 cylinders: your heart, your mind, your worldly nature, your creative, inspired, intuitive nature. We're all on board. And that could be work that you're doing that other people don't see because it's kind of hidden beneath the surface, because Virgo energy is about doing this work internally, taking time alone to do this work within yourself, and other people don't see it. You're not out there operating and taking action in pride and ego, trying to present to people some image about yourself or something, You're doing this work within yourself, kind of behind the scenes. And, it is a process, and you will come out being more in a place of balance and joy and celebration as you do this work within yourself to get more balanced, maybe between your emotional nature and being more grounded and practical, seeing the truth that I can love people and not want to be in a relationship with them because they're not balanced. They lack insight. They haven't mastered their thoughts and their emotions, and they kind of oscillate and are unstable, and they might not be inspired to ever take that action to go within to figure out even why they do that. So if they don't want to see the truth, they're going to keep doing the same old thing they've been doing. And as you do the work within yourself, you are going to come together in joy and celebration within yourself. And the reason you're able to do that is because you did this inner work to realize that you needed to quit aligning with harnessing these energies in a shadowy way. And that meant it would also involve that you probably cut some people out of your life that were happy to be in a relationship with you, or a family dynamic or friendship dynamic with you, when you were in those more shadowy energies. Ten of Swords, Six of Cups. When you weren't putting in the work and effort to get balance within yourself, the Ten of Swords can be like sabotaging yourself. You could have been sabotaging yourself because of your past, because you had lessons to learn. And you've been repeating a pattern, and eventually you saw the truth of it, and you said, I'm not going to repeat that past pattern anymore. I realized I learned the lesson I was supposed to learn. I was repeating some type of pattern, and maybe it is kind of being drawn and attracted to people who maybe do oscillate back and forth, who do seem to maybe be a little emotionally cold or distant, or who do seem to be a little more prideful or egotistical, because maybe that could be the type of people you grew up with, because the Six of Cups can represent childhood. And, it's our comfort zone. And I think whatever it was, or it could be being in relationships with people who are more immature, or people who are a little more emotionally shallow and superficial. And it could be even just wanting to get in relationships. So we can get in relationships with people, but why are we getting in relationships with people? Is it just, I got in a relationship because I felt out in the cold? I got in a relationship because I wanted to be in a relationship, or I'm a loving, giving person and I wanted to be loving and giving to someone. But, we've got to use discernment, and know our worth and value and make balanced decisions in our life. And we could have realized we were either sabotaging ourselves or we were repeating an old pattern. And so when you see the truth of it, because the tens are completing a cycle, you have seen the truth. You are ready to give birth to something new. You're ready for like the next stage of life. I've been there. I've done that. I've repeated that pattern enough times. I see the truth of it. I see kind of what drove and motivated me to get in relationships with people who are like that, or to stay in relationships like that. Why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I put an end to it when I saw other people acting maybe in an immature way, repeating an old pattern, being bossy or controlling or intimidating, or like a private detective in a relationship? Those are all traits of people who harness shadowy Scorpio energy, whether they're a Scorpio sun sign or not. It's just how they harness their Scorpio energy. When we see people aren't being authentic and having a deep, meaningful relationship with us, why do we stay in it? And you did the work within yourself to say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to keep sabotaging myself, because I do want deep, meaningful relationships. And I'm motivated and inspired to heal and grow and mature myself, to believe in myself and believe in my dreams. And I'm going to start taking the action to bring my dreams. So this card here is reminding me of the Six of Swords, which is, something I was investing in, or a way of looking at life or living my life or feeling about myself, was causing me a lot of mental conflict. And some of the people I could have been hanging out with seemed to have a different dream than I had, motivated and inspired by different things, or seemed to want to win at all costs and didn't seem to care who they hurt. I see the truth of it, and I don't want to stay here anymore. And I'm expanding my perception of myself in the world and what I believe is possible. And I don't want to stay in relationships with people who want to backstab me when I was being authentic and vulnerable with them, because they are all about themselves, or bossy or controlling. So when you cut people who harness this energy in a shadowy way out of your life, what they don't understand about you is how you're doing this, because you're doing something they haven't done before. They're not willing to detach from those ways of being within themselves, and they're not willing to detach from these ways of being or the people in their life that they could be in friendships and relationships or families with, even if those people are trying to intimidate and control them, even if those people are trying to manipulate them and use the love that they have for them against them. And you're like, if I'm being truthful and honest and authentic and other people aren't, then I don't understand why, but you've become just a social acquaintance and someone I used to know. I'm not going to be in a deep, meaningful relationship with someone who maybe wants to live more from their mind than their heart, and I'm being authentic and warm and loving, harnessing high vibe Scorpio energy. And then they don't like it and kind of get in their ego that I'm love and believe in myself, and they're maybe living more from their mind than their heart, trying to manipulate people into viewing them as being that type of person. And I really am that type of person. And then that gets them in their ego. Why are you really that type of person? And I know I just create an illusion of being that type of person. And then kind of in their, shadowy energy of competitiveness and jealousy, not operating from a foundation of love, it's kind of like they want to backstab you because they don't like that it illuminates the fact that they aren't who they say they are. And you saw the truth of all of it. And now you want to come together with other people who are firing on all four cylinders in high vibe Aries energy, who are motivated and inspired to free themselves from being manipulated by themselves and then all the people in their life that are happy that they have fear or insecurity or codependency or love, and other people try to take advantage of it. And it's like, I'm not staying here, I'm leaving. And those are the kind of people you want. People who have learned that when people aren't being truthful and honest, when people are trying to confuse me about the truth, when people are being hot and cold with me, they're basically not balanced within themselves. And basically, if I'm being nurturing and supportive and balanced and have hope and faith and belief, and that's what I'm contributing to the relationship, eventually people get to be where, I can love you, but I'm leaving. I wish you the best, but kind of reminds me of that Bible verse that, even God's heart grows cold to people. Until people start to do the inner work within themselves to get balance within them. I mean, the love is always there, but until you do the work to get balance within yourself, as long as you keep staying out of balance and you're being immature, prideful, egotistical, self-centered, hurtful, unkind, whatever, why would I want to be more involved in a relationship with you? I'm going to keep my distance, and until you work through your own fears and insecurities about why you don't seem to realize it's about love and treating other people the way you like to be treated, then I guess, I'll keep wishing you peace, but I'm not going to be in a relationship with you. What's coming up for the people who might harness a more shadowy or worldly Pisces energy that they don't see coming up? The Five of Wands, because of the Aquarius star and the King of Swords. Sometimes when we're in our shadowy energy, we can kind of be a little full of ourselves for some reason. We have some lessons to learn. We have some growing up to do. We might not see that we're being immature, that we're being stubborn or whatever, And we can kind of not... Actually, some people could really be kind of clueless, like... I don't even understand why those people weren't willing to keep moving forward with me. It's like, that's because you lack some self-insight. Because whatever your shadow issue is, it kind of clouds your judgment. I don't see that I'm immature. I don't see I'm lazy. I don't see I'm kind of bossy and controlling or egotistical or self-centered, or I have some growing up and maturing to do, you know? And then again, some people are trying to manipulate the situation. And I think the people that are in shadowy energy, I think they're always in a place of inner conflict because love is what helps us heal. And when we choose to love and believe in ourselves and like our loving nature kind of gets in the driver's seat of our life and our shadow nature has to sit in the back seat like it is this immature child that we have within us, and we have to be its best mother, father, coach voice to it to temper its fears and its insecurities and, you know, when it rants and raves about the things, you know, which we've all kind of got within ourselves, it helps calm us because we are being like a good mother, father, coach to ourselves, our own inner child nature. And I think the people that aren't aligned with that, I think they have a lot of inner conflict. Why? Because they have this idea, you know, the Aquarius star talks about, I have this dream. And the way they've been trying to go about it, you know, the way we live our life at any given moment, we probably think is just and fair. It makes practical, logical sense, or we wouldn't be doing it, you know? And so some of them could have some inner conflict because they don't understand maybe why things aren't working out the way they wanted them to work out. And they're not seeing that part of the reason why things aren't working out is because they have inner conflict about looking at life from our perspective. You know, and maybe being more just and fair in a relationship, aligned with truth and love. But when we're in our shadow nature, we're either very egotistical and self-centered and we think we're the boss and people should listen to us and everybody should make their life about us. And we have inner conflict when other people don't make it about us. And some of these people, that's our problem. For other people, they are just more aligned with their worldly view of life. And to them, it can make logical, practical sense. It is about ego and image. There is no higher truth or justice to aspire to. Like, that's fantasy land. The world says it's about this. That's what we should make our life about. And so the Five of Wands could be about people who are very competitive. And they really want to look like a shining star in the world. But then they could have inner conflict because the people they want to be in a relationship with, they might not want to be in a relationship with them because I love you. It might be because I'm in my ego. Someone else could have walked away. I feel left out in the cold. I want to get in a relationship. Well, then they get in relationships with people, and people kind of figure out, why are you in a relationship with me? Well, because someone else got out of a relationship with me, and I wanted to create this illusion that I'd moved on too. Look at me, my dreams come into reality. Well, when people kind of realize that, it's like, so the reason you got in a relationship with me is because someone else just left, or you were competing with them? They got in a relationship, they seem like things are going well, or they seem balanced. You're trying to cause them inner conflict. You're trying to get them in their ego. You're trying to get them in their competitive energy. You got in a relationship with me to make someone else upset. You know, eventually other people kind of see the truth. And they maybe don't want to be in a relationship with these people. Why are you in a relationship with me? Is it love? Is it because it's good for your ego? Is it because you had inner conflict? Is it because you're competing with the other people in the world and I look like a good choice because I shine bright in the world for some reason? Makes logical, practical sense. You know, and then other people have a problem. Another thing they might not see coming, they could have kind of been full of themselves. Oh, people like you are a dime a dozen. I'll just go find someone else. And maybe they were kind of living in fantasy land, thinking that you can go find loving people who want to be in a relationship with you and put in work and effort into a relationship with you, they're a dime a dozen. And then they could have found out that that's not true. Just finding someone who is willing to work together with you, that, there's that kind of that spark there that doesn't happen with just everyone. And they could be the one who thought they wanted to be free of a relationship because they didn't want to put in this work and effort. They wanted to be free, and now the moon could talk about being emotionally confused. And they didn't think they were going to be the one who was going to have inner conflict. Again, some of them could have been kind of full of themselves, that all these people would be fighting to be in a relationship with them because they think they're all that. And maybe some of the people who they thought would be clamoring after them aren't clamoring after them. I think some of the loving people in their life, the fives can talk about change. Some of the loving people who moved away from them, they did do this work within themselves, and they've changed. They're not the same person that they were before. Why? Because they did have hope and faith and belief in themselves and in their dreams, and they did this work to see through the illusion and the emotional confusion to see the truth, and the truth set them free to move forward in life, to come together with others, in joy and celebration. They have detached from these people in the past, and they could have thought, you'll never do that because, I know you love me. But because I don't want you to keep loving and believing in yourself, I'm going to backstab and betray you, leave you out in the cold, act for my ego, create this illusion like I've moved forward in life, and I bet you'll feel left out of the cold, and you'll want to compete for me. Some people like for people to compete for them. But if someone loved you, they wouldn't want you to feel like you need to compete for them, because if they loved you and you love them, they would never want you to feel like you have competition. There is no competition. But they operate from their ego, and they just might not like that you're healing and growing and maturing. And part of the problem could have been that they were afraid of the competition. Kind of affected their ego, that they felt like they needed to grow and mature and heal and put in work and effort to maybe keep staying in a relationship with you. And for some people, that could get them in their ego. I never thought I would have to put in work and effort in a relationship because I'm worried about the competition. Well, I think if you just have a partner who's growing and healing and maturing, it's natural that as a part of life that you should heal and grow and mature yourself too. And some people have a problem with that because they think they're like God's gift. And they have all these things of the world, and anybody should want to be in a relationship with them. So I think they're surprised that some people could have inner conflict about wanting to move forward with them in a relationship. But some of those other people could be listening to their intuition. And some of those people might want to know why the past relationship didn't work out. And if they know all they have to tell that person is lies, and they're not willing to tell them the truth, well, then people's spidey senses go up. And they're like, I have inner conflict. It seemed like you had something that seemed like a dream. Why did someone decide that they had conflict with that? I want to know. And then they could have a problem with telling them the truth. It's too bad, because if they maybe told them the truth, maybe those people would keep staying in a relationship with them. But they'd have to be willing to admit the truth, and they maybe have to be willing to, but that, if you're not, people who make mistakes, who learn lessons from it, don't have a problem telling other people the mistakes they made. I'm a fallible human being who makes mistakes. But people who are all about their ego and their image, and they're like infallible, I guess they don't maybe want to tell other people the truth. And then if somebody's moved on, especially if it was someone they thought they were backstabbing and betraying, if that person moves on and seems to be fine, that could cause some inner conflict because some of those people, the whole thing was it made me feel powerful that I was doing something hurtful and unkind to make you feel rejected and out in the cold. But it's a false sense of empowerment. And when the other people that they could have tried to kick to the curb and throw under the bus pick themselves up and dust themselves off, and it's like, thanks for showing me the truth of who you are, and they move on, it's like, well, damn, you were supposed to stay under that bus and at the curb, and you were supposed to be like sobbing and crying, and then I was gonna sit here in my power of how powerful I was, that I caused you all that inner conflict. Look how powerful I am. And it's a false sense of empowerment because it comes from the impact they think they have on others in a negative way. And then when people get over it and move on, they've reconciled themselves with the past. They got out of their ego about it. They got out of their competitive nature. They got out of their hurt nature. They gave themselves the things they wish these people would have given them to heal and move on. Well, then their balloon bubble of power comes sinking and crashing back to the ground. And then they're looking for someone else to dominate and control to make themselves feel powerful. High vibe people are empowered within themselves. They don't have to belittle or berate or be mean or unkind to other people to feel a sense of feeling powerful, because they've realized that it is a false sense of a power. It's just an illusion. That true empowerment comes from loving and encouraging other people to become all they can be, and loving and encouraging yourself to be all you can be, and that everybody has free will to choose to do that, and seeing the truth that some people don't. And people who are kind of prideful and egotistical and think they're all that, they're very competitive, and everybody's the competition. And that's when you can get in a relationship with people who almost treat you like the enemy to defeat. I have to seem better than you. I have to be more accomplished than you. I have to be this and this and this and this. I have to put you down for me to feel better, because that's how they view life from a shadowy viewpoint. So I think the high vibe people are moving forward, coming together with others in joy and celebration. Some of the people that were being bossy or controlling or manipulative could end up really being surprised, because I don't think they see the truth that these people are doing this inner work within themselves, and they're no longer focused on these people. So while these people are competing with them, the other people aren't playing the game, and the other people have moved on. And it's like, what? I thought we were fighting with each other. It's like, no, you were living in an illusion that I was fighting with you. I moved on a long time ago, and I wished you peace. It's like, what? But I thought we were battling of egos. It's like, no, you were always battling in your ego. And I'm at peace. Yeah. And then they can't even, I think you're going to be very stable and abundant within yourself in a lot of ways. And you're out, they can't even see you anymore because you're just so far out of their perception of, they can't, I just think they just can't understand it, just can't grasp it. And I think it'll cause them a lot of inner conflict. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.